How's it going, guys? So as a lot of you may know, before my year-long departure, I was in the middle of doing a Godzilla marathon review where I was going to review every single Godzilla film, the Japanese ones and the American ones before the new Godzilla came out, which was in May. And I did not make it. I stopped after King Kong vs. Godzilla, which is the third one, I believe. And I'm sure if you guys seen my The Return of Jacob video, you know why. So as an apology, I guess you could call it, I'm going to go ahead and review the 2014 Godzilla film. Godzilla is a 2014 film directed by Gareth Edwards, and Gareth Edwards also did a movie way back called Monsters, which was a very low-budget independent film. So the dude decided to step his game up and make a big, grade-A action monster flick, and it's pretty badass. I'm sure you all know the story of Godzilla. He's a giant lizard thing who likes to wreak havoc in cities. And unlike the 1998 Matthew Broderick one, this one took a darker turn, and it was meant to be taken very, very seriously. Yeah, this is a very dark film, and you know, you get this sense of dread while you're watching it, and you're supposed to be taking it seriously. There's like really no funny parts in this film. It's like a flat-out, serious, darker version of Godzilla. So after an experiment goes wrong creating two monsters called the Mutos, there's a male and a female, Godzilla approaches from the water and decides to pretty much attack him. But to get into more detail, the female Mutos is on point A and the male Mutos is on point B, and they are trying to, you know, meet so they can mate and make babies and destroy the world. And Godzilla, who is a big cockblocker in this film, by the way, tries to stop them from doing that. Honestly, though, these Mutos, they just want to make babies. That's all they want to do, so they can, you know, take over the world together and make a big family and live happily ever after. But no, Godzilla has to come and he has to destroy everything like normal. He's pretty much shattering their plan, and he's kind of a big a-hole for that. But then again, he's also the good guy in this film because he's helping out, you know, the world from saving the people from these monsters. There were a lot of problems in this film, and one of the main ones that a lot of people had trouble with was that the movie mainly focused on the human characters and not so much on the monsters. The main character in this film is played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and his wife is Elizabeth Olsen, and they both have a son at home, but Aaron Taylor Johnson has to go to Japan to get his father out of jail, who was played by Bryan Cranston, and they soon find out about the secret that Japan was keeping from the world, that they're doing an experiment on these two monsters, and then everything goes wrong from there, and then you have like the human side every once in a while, and then you have the monster side every once in a while. The movie did definitely focus on the human characters a lot more than the monsters in this film, and a lot of people seem to have a problem with that. In fact, I actually read online that Godzilla himself only has 8 minutes of screen time in this movie. 8 minutes! Yeah, he's not in it for very long, and the director mainly wanted to focus on, like, you know, the human side of the story. I remember I wanted to see this film so bad last year. It was my most anticipated film of last year. I was there midnight showing, I was excited, I was pumped to see Godzilla on the big screen. And to be honest, the first time I saw this in theaters, I was kind of disappointed. I wanted a lot more, you know, monster-on-monster action, but you really didn't get any of that until, let's say, the last half hour of the movie. This movie drags on and on and on, and it builds and builds and builds up to that one fight scene at the very end, and is it worth it? Meh. I definitely thought that the ending battle scene was very cool and is by far the best part of the film, because you actually get to see the monster-on-monster action, and that, you know, that's what you've been waiting for the entire movie, but it only shows up towards the very end. The director really liked to tease you throughout the film. Godzilla's very first appearance came, like, I'd say about an hour into the movie, and at that moment you're like, yes, I finally get to see him, there's finally gonna be some action. And this is the part that really kind of pissed me off. So one of the Mutos is in Hawaii by the airport, and Godzilla's about to come up and fight him, and it's your first time seeing him on screen, and you're so excited, and, like, you know, your adrenaline comes up, and I almost cried. It was a very intense approach, and everybody in the theater's like going crazy because you're about to see Godzilla for the first time on screen. And then you see his body for the first time, and then the camera goes up and shows his face, and he just lets out this extremely loud roar, and it's shaking the theater, and everybody's cheering, and it's going crazy, and you're like, yes, this is the moment we've been waiting for, and it cuts. The scene cuts, and that's all you get to see is Godzilla roaring, and then that's it. It actually does show the battle the next scene when the little kid's watching it on the TV, but it's like, dude, really? You set up this whole thing just to show that? I mean, the war was pretty cool, but I actually wanted to see them fight, but you never got to see that. So the director definitely does love to tease you, and you don't really get any of that monster on monster action, like I said, until the very end of the film. I was pretty upset in the theater when I watched it. I mean, I still really liked it, but it was definitely, my expectation was too high. It was definitely not as good as I thought it was going to be. But then I saw the movie more and more and more, and then the more I saw it, the more I actually ended up liking it. Now, the director, Gareth Edwards, is a huge fan of the original Godzilla films, and what he tried to do was he tried to make this one just like the older ones. And if you guys have seen the original Godzilla movies, they're pretty much just like this one, where, you know, the whole movie mainly focuses on the human plot. And, you know, you don't actually get to see Godzilla fight the monsters until the very end of the movie. That's exactly what all the older Godzilla films were, and he was trying to recreate those films. So after I learned that, I was like, okay, I actually learned to respect the movie a lot more for what it was, and I now understood what the director was trying to do. Yeah, but just warning those of you who haven't seen it, this movie really focuses on the human plot rather than the monster plot, and you really don't see any action until, let's say, the last 30 minutes of the film. Despite all of that, the movie is really badass, and personally, I think the end battle scene is well worth the wait. It was definitely the best part of the movie. I also liked how the director put in little Easter eggs throughout the film, like, I caught a couple of them. One of them, you actually see a tank with a moth in it, and then the name of the moth is Mothra. It says on the tank. And then there's another Easter egg where it shows an iguana, and you know that resembles the 1998 Godzilla, which does kind of look like an iguana. I just thought it was nice that he threw these little Easter eggs in the film for, you know, the more hardcore Godzilla fans out there. I overall loved it. I thought the movie was badass. I really liked it a lot more than I did the first time. If you guys saw it once, then trust me, you'll like it better the second time. But the movie definitely does have its flaws, like focusing way too much on the human characters, and Godzilla has 8 minutes of screen time. 8 minutes. The fucking iguana had more screen time than Godzilla. And his name is in the title. Kind of like what I was ranting about in Annabelle. How Annabelle doesn't really do anything besides sit there, but, you know, you're supposed to be afraid of her. She's the main thing in the movie, and her name is in the title, but, you know, she just sits there. It's all she does. It's the same exact thing with Godzilla. But no, in all honesty, I really love this film. I loved how it turned out. It's definitely a lot darker than the 1998 film, and overall, I'm going to go ahead and give the 2014 Godzilla 4 out of 5. I definitely cannot wait for the sequel to come out, which rumor has it it's going to feature Rodan, King Ghidorah, Mothra, all the classic Godzilla monsters that we love. Also, I forgot to mention the 3D is excellent in this film. It's really good. I really suggest getting the 3D version if you guys have a 3D television. But yeah, Godzilla's awesome, and I love him, and I love the movie, and I even have like this little action figure toy. I know there's one that's like this big, but I'm not that rich, so I have a little one right here, but he's just as awesome. Look at him. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Do not forget to leave a comment down below on what movie I should review next, and I will see you guys later.